there was a time when the traditional four-door executive saloon was the way to roll. But times have changed because customers are now spoiled for choice when it comes to luxury MPVs and premium SUVs. With all that being said, is the new 5 Series still relevant? Let's find out. To be honest with you, the BMW 5 Series is the standard by which we measure a lot of the other competitors in the segment, because this is the vehicle that kind of balances all that you want out of an executive saloon. You want driving dynamics, this one offers it. You want space, it offers it. And of course, the business-like style that's befitting of someone of success, this one has it all. Now, over the years, the 5 Series has evolved, and you can see the evolution of the look. Like, you do have the nostril, or the dual nostril or dual kidney grille right there, but it's not so much a grille anymore. It's more just for the style. They kind of enlarge it a little bit, but it's really blocked off with the gloss black. It does have the active grille shutters there to let in more air for the radiator. But as time evolved, they kind of want to be more aerodynamic and be more efficient with the use of the air going into there. Now, it does have, like, the grille does kind of create this extension on the hood there with the recess for the BMW roundel, the propeller logo over there, the restyled front end with functional air vents here for the brakes. And then we go over to the side. What do we see? Long hood, because this is still an FR car, meaning front engine, rear wheel drive. I think there are also all-wheel drive versions of some of the other models, but anyways, the wipers, this is actually neat. Even the actual arms for the wipers have an aerodynamic wing for, I guess, extra downforce onto the windshield. Side mirrors here. The side mirrors, there are no 360 cameras in this one, so there's no camera over here, which is kind of odd. You do have camera up there on the windshield for sensors and stuff for the AEB. One thing I did notice, particularly even on that side and on this side, the alignment of the doors, there's a bit of an issue with that. So that's something they need to work on there. The door handles, these are not the grip type, it's the lever type, I guess. The shark fin antenna is kind of different, very minimalist, which I do appreciate. The way they do the rear, here, see here on the glass, or at least the 5 on this panel here. This is where they have the Hofmeister kink. Looks different, has the 5 there, looks pretty neat overall. The rear of the vehicle, this is interesting. In older BMW's 5 Series models, we've seen it kind of kick up a little bit. This one kind of goes down. If anything, it kind of reminds me of the older Mercedes CLS in the way it slopes down over there. Now, when we see the back, neat tail lights here. 520i logo there with the 5 actually clearly larger than the 20i. And then you have a rear camera here with the BMW logo there. To open that, what you get is a space that measures 44 inches from here to over there. You can fold down the rear seats to give you more length in terms of the cargo area. It's not really so much the space as it is the compromise when it comes to space. Because you notice there's this elevated tray here. And I was like, this is not an EV, what's that for? And then I realized this is a BMW that has a spare tire. I haven't seen a BMW with a spare tire in quite a while. And that's because BMW tends to use run flat tires. So if you go over here to the wheels, you'll see that it does have, it's not like the biggest wheels in the business, but it is nice, but it does come with Pirelli P0 tires. But I'm not sure, I don't think these are rated as RFTs like as we've known BMWs to have. So this should ride a bit better overall. So that's pretty much it with the exterior of the 5 Series. Let's look at the engine bay. So we're trying to do this in one take. So, challenging myself to do it all in one go, even though there's a motorcycle there revving for no apparent reason. When we pop open this, let's see. Oh, I think I have to pull it twice, right? I'm not too sure. But when I pull it again, there we go. We should be able to open the hood with the help of the lift system. Now, in typical BMW fashion, front engine, rear wheel drive, and the way they set the engine is they move it as far back as possible to give you the best center of gravity you can have. A better balance overall when you're driving. So this is a 2-liter turbo gasoline engine, twin power turbo with a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Your power, 208 PS, and you've got 330 Newton meters of torque overall. And You've got the bracing over there because BMW loves their handling. I mean, if you look here, this all serves to make the vehicle more rigid when you're driving around, because you don't want any flexing when you're cornering. And that's something that BMW does very well. Automatic transmission to the rear wheels. What else do we see here? Not really much. The dual hinged hood there, because it is quite long. And that's something that BMW does with pretty much all of their rear wheel drive models. I still do wish this one came with a, let's say, an inline six. That would be really, really fun. But yeah, now let's check out what's inside. That was a long take, no? The new BMW 5 Series conforms to the latest basically design directive of BMW to go minimalist, especially for their latest models. I think the BMW iX, if you've driven that, this is very similar in terms of the interior layout, particularly with this curved dual screen. It feels very uncluttered, though you do have to get used to all of this. It does feel quite uncluttered, and I do appreciate that kind of thing because everything is neat. Like the way they do the door cards here with the switches, very nice. Same with the door handles, the door lever. It tucks in very nicely with the door. Your controls for the memory of the seating, and of course adjusting the seat is still via the controls here on the left side of the lower cushion. Now we go to the part here. The right side is just a tray for a phone or a wallet. On the left side, it does have the wireless charging right there. You do have the dual cup holders here, which is where I keep the key of the 5 Series, which is nice. But some of the things that I think could be improved on here is the AC. Because the way they do the AC, they went, again, minimalist with this. So they have slots here for that. There's one on either side. Same with the ones on the wings of the dashboard. And the way you control the AC, again, you go through the screen here, typical BMW and a lot of other car makers now. You control the speed here, and it's independent of either one unless you sync it. Same with the back, you have the modes you can control there. But what I'm not a fan of is that the air is not strong enough, like at least for us here in tropical countries. Some customers, like, I'm not a customer, but I know I would want a bit more air to come out of it, depending on especially the weather. I mean, right now it's pretty cool, it's January, but this one could be better overall. And the direction of this, you can control it through here, but again, it's not as great as some of those simple vents. You know, sometimes simpler is better, that kind of thing. And you tone it down the vents over there. It's just a bit of a strange arrangement. They didn't really need to change it, but you know, that's BMW for you. The screen here, if you notice, there's not really much there. It does have the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that stuff. And then it has certain modes that you can activate. So for instance, right now let's go to, let's say, the personal. This is Marcus's personal settings for the car. So I can feel like there's a little bit of a change with the seat, with the lumbar. And then I go to the My modes. I go to Sport. It goes a bit more red and a bit more darker blue, which does look nice. And the seat kind of constrains a little bit to try to hold you in place when you're cornering. Again, Sport mode. And then you have Efficient mode. So it goes a bit more blue. And as you notice, if you can notice, like the lighting here, the ambient lighting, it does get a bit more dramatic. It follows the color scheme on the screen there. If I do another mode, let's say Expressive, goes a bit of yellow with blue. You know, it kind of all this, it depends on your mood, what you want to set it to, and it does look cool. I mean, it makes the experience rather unique. Now, let's go through some of the other functions here. So this being an ICE with a 48 volt mild hybrid, it basically just drives like a normal car. Your transmission control is here. So pull to put it into drive, you pull again to put it into sport, and then you can override with the paddle shifters over here. There's no like a manual select here because what's the point there? You just use the paddle shifters there. When you put it in reverse, we will get the rear view camera, and you can see Arnel there. Hoy Arnel, tama na yung pag-text mo. See? That's Arnel right there. Anyways, that's pretty much covers the front. I mean, it's pretty standard overall. There's no adaptive cruise control here. You don't get that in this model because you know, they do make this in Germany, and they had to verify it's made in Dingle thing. So the costs are a bit higher compared to, let's say, when they used to have it come from Malaysia. But still, it's a quality vehicle that I think looks good. But one thing I would note here is when I open this, there's a little gap here that kind of, I don't know, one little thing that kind of gets to me. And some of the, when they cut the panel for this crystal like plastic there, you can see the ridges of it there, just minor detail things. It's up to you whether that bothers you. But what I really want to check out is that back seat, especially in the right. If you're looking at the 5 Series as a limousine kind of vehicle, then it actually works because you do have plenty of foot room here, leg room. You do have to keep in mind that this is a rear-wheel drive vehicle. So you do have the tunnel there for the prop shaft, the the exhaust and all that stuff that runs from the front all the way to the back. So keep those things in mind. But still, once you're seated here, it's very nice. I mean, it's nice and wide. Got a very wide center armrest here. You can load stuff through that if you want to poke, let's say, if you have skis. I mean, we don't have skis in the Philippines, but still, if you have to, it's there. You do have the Harman Kardon speaker here, your own AC vent here, and own AC vent there, which is good. Actually, again, like I said earlier, I prefer this kind of AC vent rather than the one they have in front. It's nice and simple and very intuitive. And then you do have the window here, no sunshades, not that I can see anyway, no roll-up sunshades. So I think they could have added that, because if you wanted to see this as a executive vehicle, that would be a nice feature to have. Something that's odd though is that the rear seat back, it's extremely plain. I mean, yes, there's extra knee room there, but it's very plain. There's no pocket, there's no table, there's no nothing. I guess in this 520i, you're not paying for it yet. Anyways, let's go take it out for a drive and see how it feels on the road. Like many of my fellow motoring journalists, I do have a soft spot for the BMW 5 Series. Because all throughout the decades, all throughout the many generations, it's always represented a higher state of driving. Driving fun, driving thrill, sheer driving pleasure. You don't have to go super fast. I mean, this is a 520i, which in BMW terms, that's probably the lowest in terms of the engine availability. Because in the Philippines, I don't think we get the other variants anymore, like the 530. I miss those 530Ds and those 540Is, but we don't get them anymore. So we have to kind of make do with a 520i. But it does have the mild hybrid, providing a bit of the boost. But again, there's only so much you can do. It's still a fairly small engine for something this big. The unusual thing about this drive of the 520i is that I had just come out of the i5 experience. The i5 is fast, it's quick. That's really the torque at 0 RPM. But you know what I mean when it kind of lacks the soul of an internal combustion engine car. That's what this has. Now, granted, this car is technically the runt of the 5 Series family. With any BMW, when you have 20i, particularly in a 5 Series, it usually means it's the base engine model, the lowest power. And indeed, I think this one is. And this is the only variant available right now, at least here in the Philippines. So we don't get any of the more powerful ones anymore yet. But still, it feels great. We're on the downhill now, so power isn't really that much of a problem. But when I have to overtake even on the uphill, the power does come in very well. It's 208 PS and 330 Newton meters of torque. When it does have the mild hybrid, but it does accelerate well. To overtake other cars, no problem, depending on the car you're overtaking, of course. And that's something BMW does pretty well. They tune the balance of the vehicle, like the handling, the steering, the body control, the body roll control, the acceleration. All these things work together. That's something BMW does fantastically. Only one other automaker that I can think of, like off the bat, across the board, does that, and it's probably Mazda. So that's something to be enjoyed with something like the 5 Series. It is one of those driver's cars, part of the BMW family, and it's always going to be there. Now, if you're really concerned about fuel economy, though, that's something I have to mention. It's we were doing around 7.8 kilometers per liter, but in pretty heavy traffic lately, around 15 kilometers per hour. I'm sure if the speed's a little bit faster, it can get more. But again, if you're in something this smooth, this quiet, this comfortable, then it doesn't really matter. Yeah, the ride is really good too. What BMW did with the 5 Series and the 520i in particular is come up with a very balanced package. But what I'm trying to think with this BMW is that does it stand out in any one or two ways? Because when it comes to power, it's there, but it's not like gonna put a smile on your face when you put your foot down. Man, I miss those older BMWs, especially the turbo diesels. Those were fantastic to drive. And also on the fuel, very good too. In terms of the handling, yeah, it's also good. But again, would you really want to drive it or would you want to ride in the back? And that, I think, is going to be the real compromise of the executive saloon compared to, let's say, an SUV, a luxury van, or even a sports car. And that, I think, is the real sticking point with a vehicle like the 5 Series, a traditional executive saloon. Because like things like the 5 Series, the E-Class, all these kinds of vehicles, the numbers are getting lower and lower because customers are preferring going for something with more space like a luxury van or an SUV of the same kind of type like the X5, or going for a full-on sports car if they want driving dynamics. But when it comes to the price, that's also something to consider because this one retails for 4.99 million. Interesting pricing for a car made in Germany being offered here in the Philippines. But guys, let us know what you think of the 5 Series as it offered by BMW here in the Philippine market. This is Vince of Auto Industria. Thank you for watching. Okay, lunchtime.